Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is games leaving the collection for the month of March. We have around, I think, 22 games to get through this video, and over the next several months, I'm going to be trying to up just how many games I get rid of and the quality of the games I get rid of, and that's just because, frankly, I'm not playing everything I already know and love, and I want to try to focus on playing the absolute best, not just the things I want to play, but the things I actually do take the time to play. I've been doing this games leaving the collection video, or the series in general, since the very beginning of my channel. It's one of the most consistent series I've had on the channel, one of the first videos I ever did, and it's become a monthly video I've done for, well, going on 4 years now. And things have ebbed and flowed over those years, and I frequently go through those moments where I'm trying to purge a bunch of other games and trying to be a bit more stringent as to what I keep, what I get rid of, and we'll see if this actually lasts or doesn't, but for the moment, I think I'm trying to change the way I look at, well, the games that come into my collection. And that's just because of necessity, sheer necessity. I played a lot of games last year, a lot of games, and despite that, from all the games I played that were the games I already own and love, I played maybe 2/3 of the games I own and love. From my 300 or so games I have in my collection at a given time, I played around 200 of them, and the other 100 sat there looking at me, wondering why I wasn't playing them. And the reason is because there's too many games. There are games coming out every single month, there are games coming out every single year on a hundreds if not thousands basis, and I want to play those. I want to keep some. I want to experience the old, the new, everything. But ultimately, I think the main pivot is for going forward. I think the assumption is all games leave. Not because all games do leave, but because I don't want... I think perceptionally, when I say a game is leaving, it's almost like I'm passing judgment on you're not good enough, which I don't think is the case anymore. There are plenty of games that are not good enough, make no mistake, but there are plenty of games that are good enough, and I just don't have the bandwidth to play them all, and so I think the standard, the default at this point going forward is I am here to play games and try them out and give you a rating and review and talk with them, and then they're going to leave. Except the ones that don't. But the others are going to leave, because on this table are some fantastic games. Some of them are more recent games that I've reviewed, others are older games that I'm just realizing, some of them from the past 6 months, some of them from the past 2 years, some of them from the past 5-6 years. There are great games on this table leaving, and I just have to start being more realistic with myself about the fact that it's just, I can't play everything. I can't play the games I want to play. Half of this table, if not more, are games I wish were staying in my collection, but they're just not getting played. So, let's go ahead and get into it. And before we do, if you are a member of the channel over on Ko-Fi, over on Patreon, or over on YouTube, I will be giving away some of these games, well, on those platforms. So if you are a supporter of the channel, a few of these will be going away to different tiers in general, some across the board and some to higher tiers. I'll be giving away for last month as well, because I didn't do the giveaway last month, so I'll be giving away a bunch of games as well if you are a supporter of the channel, and of course you can go ahead and join, links to everything down below. But with that, let's go ahead and start with the games leaving the collection, starting off with, I don't know, where do we start? Where do we start? There's no easy choices. This is going to be a bit of a bloodbath. Again, lots of genuinely great games here. This is not like a mix. This is a majority of them are games I wish I wasn't getting rid of. But with that, let's start with Fliptown over here. Fliptown is unfortunately leaving. Fliptown is a delightful game. It's a delightful roll-and-write game with a Western theme and a bit of a poker hand, and I think it's really, really solid. For me, I think Pioneer Rails gives me the same feeling that Fliptown does, and here's the spicy bit. I think Fliptown is better. I think Fliptown is better than Pioneer Rails, but I think Pioneer Rails gives me more to explore. There's more content in the game, there's more maps, more interesting things to continue to do, but if I'm just judging it on a single game, I think Fliptown is a better game. But Fliptown's a bit more samey as you go through it, and both between getting plays in during the prototype phase, and since then, I enjoy it. I think it's excellent. I have only so much time for different roll and writes, and I have that time slot completely filled up. And Pioneer Rails is currently giving it its run for its money. I think Pioneer Rails will go eventually, but I do want to continue to play that one first. But fantastic game. Fantastic game. It's a fantastic game. There's lots of fantastic games. Speaking of which, we have the Paperback Adventures full set over here is unfortunately leaving. And I think this is a fantastic game. It's really, in fact, there's a lot of solo games that are leaving today. It got a little messy in the solo room. I had a fight with myself, and I don't think I want to play games with myself anymore because I'm a bit of a jerk. But Paperback Adventures over here, it's a great game. I think it's an amazing little like Slay the Spire roguelike. It's a roguelite word building combination game that I've had a lot of fun playing through. My biggest issue with it is that it tends to fall into a longer play range as far as the time usually. But if I'm gonna sit down to play I almost said Slay the Spire, to play Paperback Adventures, there's usually other games I'll pick in that time frame. I think Paperback Adventures though is phenomenal. If you want a good solo game, a good roguelite, a good word combination game, this hits all those numbers. It's excellent, it's amazing, it's delightful, and because it runs a little long, I think it's not going to get played quite as much. And honestly, the way I play solo games has, I don't know. I think my solo plays have evolved. I play as much solo as I used to, but certain types of games, solo games, I find I'm tabling less. If you're more of a puzzly nature of a solo game, I find I am tabling you less than if I were, let's say, playing through Deliverance or some dungeon crawl or some Spirit Island or Mage Knight, any of those kinds of things. So I think my solo plays have evolved a bit, and Paperback Adventures is leaving. But then again, don't feel bad, Paperback Adventures. You are in good company, because so is the entire Oniverse series, which is a shock to me. But the entire Oniverse series is going, and I think this is phenomenal. I frequently put these in some of my best solo games. If you're looking at, best solo games of all times, I've put the Oniverse in there a few times because I think the Oniverse is fantastic. If I was ranking this series in order from least to most, I would go probably Nadian's probably my least favorite, then Arium, then Onirim, then Sylveon, then Cassian. Cassian is my favorite over here. I debated holding on to just Cassian and keeping that one. And maybe I still should, I don't know. But I find, again, my big thing is I find I've been tabling this type of game less. And I appreciate it very much. All of these games, every single game of the Oniverse has gotten easily 20 plus plays. I want to say like 40 plus plays each of these, but I can't say for sure. But that's because they're so easy to dive into, and they give you an escalating degree of little puzzles you go through it, and I do like them a lot. But see, then as I said, that puzzly solo games, I find I'm tabling just a drop less than, well, non-puzzly solo games. There are still a bunch left in my collection. There's still a few of these in that genre. But ultimately, I looked at the Oniverse and I was like, you know what? I do like this series a lot. I think it's absolutely phenomenal, and I just don't pull it out and play it the way I used to. It's hard. It's hard. You got choices have to be made. Choices have to be made. But once we're on a solo bloodbath, let's continue that solo bloodbath with Wreckland Run. Wreckland Run falls in that same aspect. You're playing some dice manipulation puzzle, trying to keep your car going as you go through a sequence of stories over here. I find Under Falling Skies gives me the same feel, but possibly a bit better. Not possibly, definitely a bit better. I like Under Falling Skies better, and they both hit that same kind of puzzly adventure. And I'm just gonna play Under Falling Skies when I want to pull out that type of game and play it. Again, phenomenal game. It's in the Simply Solo line from Simply Solo is about to shine. It's in the Solo Hero series from Renegade, designed by Scott Alms. I think it's great, and I think I like Under Falling Skies better. So again, that style of game is just getting less plays, and therefore I'm kind of really constricting it to a handful of games as opposed to the larger pool of games that I'm not tabling. We're going to come back to the side on the left shortly, but let's start with some big boxes over here. We have one that's not necessarily a big sacrifice over here. Everything until now has been a big sacrifice. Vampire the Masquerade Chapters, on the other hand, is just big, but not as much on the sacrifice side. This is one that I played through in anticipation of the new crowdfunding campaign. I've given this a whole bunch of plays, played through all the tutorials, played through like another 5 or 6 adventures past that. And the tutorials are like each character has their own little arc as far as introducing to new game mechanics. So I've given this a lot of time, and I've enjoyed it. I think it does an excellent job at being an RPG in a box. I don't think I'm the target audience for an RPG in a box. Make no mistake, I did enjoy it, but also when I'm comparing this against the so many campaign games that are asking me to play them. They actually ask me, by the way. When I fight with myself, they get upset, they talk to me, we have a conversation, and it usually ends up in a good place, but, they're upset until then. But ultimately, Vampire the Masquerade Chapters, great game. I just don't think I'm as much the target audience for it compared to the other campaign games I have, and so it's an easy decision to get rid of while still having enjoyed it. It's not an easy decision? Getting rid of the Reckoners. Oh boy. This hurts. This hurts, but it hurts. The Reckoners is leaving. The Reckoners is leaving, and the Reckoners is so ridiculously good. I have a lot of fun playing with the Reckoners, but it does fall into that general, cooperative aspect puzzle where do good things, bad guys do bad things, you're trying to outwhelm the bad stuff happening. The expansion stuff introduced new stuff to keep the card games fresh, to give you more bosses to fight against, to give you an improved deck of villains to face off against. At the end of the day, when I'm thinking of the types of games that fall into this cooperative puzzle that I'd rather play, the Reckoners doesn't see table time the way it used to. I'd rather pull out the Loop right now. I'd rather pull out I don't know. Deliverance, I would rather pull out Deliverance, but that might still be because it's newer and shinier. So many. I like the Reckoners. I think the Reckoners is fantastic. It's a great game. Amazing production value from Navu Games. This goes into that category where don't judge the game. If you're judging the game, this is an excellent game. Anyone would be happy to get this game. It's amazing. It's a cooperative experience, really solid. I just think I'm not pulling it out and tabling it as much as other cooperative games. Again, in this particular spot, I would say the loop is getting all of my time and attention. I find the loop to be more of an interesting puzzle and variable experience compared with the Reckoners, which I think is a bit more static. The expansion did help. The expansion did add some things to the game. One of the modules in particular is actually a bit more complicated than I'd like. Some of the bosses you're fighting up against are like a whole little puzzle unto themselves. But ultimately, Reckoners is a great game. This is just, you know, this is just life. Has to pay the price of the fact that my job is board games, and so I can't play as much as I would like to play, despite the fact that I would like to play it. And now that we're done with this side, we are not done yet, because why would we be? I said 22 games. This is not 22 games. I mean, this alone is one game, just so we're on the same page. Let's go ahead and continue with the other side of the table. I don't even know where to stack this, so you can continue to see the shame and sadness that is all these delightful games leaving the collection. But let's continue. Let's continue over here with Moonrakers. Moonrakers Titan Edition. I like Moonrakers, and I've enjoyed going through it with the solo mode as well. Going through the solo mode, this little solo journey they have. And I think the expansion content adds good content to the game. It makes the experience better. Moonrakers is a much better experience with the expansion content mixed in. Again, this is not a reflection on Moonrakers. I did have critiques with Moonrakers. The original base game, I think the expansion did make it a lot better. This is just a reflection of the fact that this type of game is not going to see the table time that I want to. And frankly, if I want to play Moonrakers, I'll play it at Level Up Retreat, because Ivy Games, for whatever reason, has a lot of popular people. Ivy Games has a ton of people in whatever board game community it is that goes to the Level Up Retreat, which I guess is a combination of people who watch this channel plus wherever. They tend to like Ivy Games because their games get a lot of table time. Veiled Fate, Fractious Sky this past year, Moonrakers still, their games get a lot of table time. Moonrakers is a great game, especially with the expansion content, and I am just not pulling it out and playing it compared to other games. And again, this is going to be some hard stuff. Yeah, it's going to be some hard stuff. Anyways, continuing with the hard stuff, we have Death Rose All-Stars, which is delightful. This is a racing game that is going to be giving you racing and blowing things up, which is a fun combination of stuff, and ultimately a genre of games that I like a lot when I play them, and don't pull out and play them as much as I would like to do so. So, Death Rose All-Stars is a great game. I think it's a phenomenal little, little racing game, blowing things up, building and drafting your car at the beginning of the game. It's just a lot of fun, and I don't pull it out and play it. It's decisions to be made. World Wonders is a polyomino game, a new one that I thought would last longer than it did, and to be fair, it's not leaving because it's bad, it's leaving because I'm looking around and just making harder and harder decisions than I've ever had to make, and this is going to be one of them. I think World Wonders is very, very good. I also think that I have too many polyomino games that are better, and so when I look at the polyomino games I want to play, World Wonders isn't hitting that, despite the fact that I was very excited for this one. This is one of the highlights I was looking forward to at Gen Con maybe? I think Gen Con 2023, but it's, and I didn't get it till PAX, but I had just play it past that, and I played it, reviewed it. It's a good game. It's a good polyomino game. It's got a lot of fun little things going on. But when I compare it to Planet Unknown, to Foundations of Rome, to Baron Park, it doesn't win against any of those. And Project L even. Project L is different though. Different little puzzle as far as what Project L is doing. But all of them are unfortunately leaving. It is, well, no. The other ones I just mentioned are all safe. This one is going away because it doesn't have that same hook. It has some fun things going on, but it is unfortunately leaving. Then again, so is Land vs. Sea and other great games. Land vs. Sea from Good Games Publishing is a delightful little Carcassonne type of experience. Yes, I still have Carcassonne. I prefer Land vs. Sea. My kids prefer Carcassonne, and Carcassonne has more general approachability to it. But Land vs. Sea is a fun little tile-laying game of trying to encircle each other as you grab tiles, place them down to different zones, and create a landmass encircling the sea, or vice versa, depending on what you're playing as. Also has a third player mode that you're playing as a whole different puzzle, and a fourth player mode as well, each one adding new rules as far as how they interact with the game state. I think that's a great 2-player abstract, it's a great 3-player abstract, it's a very fun game, and it's not a good day in this house. It's not a good day. From there, we have a few more over here. We're going to have to try to reach all the stuff. We have Jambo. Great game. One of my first games I ever had in my collection, and I got rid of it, and then I got it back, and I don't play it, so I'm getting rid of it again. But it's a great trading game. It's a great trading game of trying to get to 60 gold first, utilizing the various cards at your disposal as you try to figure out how to basically build the best marketplace. A very, very solid game. I just don't pull it out and play it. There's so many phenomenal 2-player games I have in my collection. We have Noobs in Space. This one, to be fair, I finished it. I played through Noobs in Space. I've had fun with it. It's a good game. I recommend it. If you're looking for a little communication puzzle between, it's a cooperative game, you're in space, and you're trying to communicate, or not communicate, and, well, mostly communicate, in ways that will get you to the end goal that you want, while not showing your cards, but talking about your cards. It's a fun little puzzle. I really enjoyed it, and also I played through it, and now I'm ready to move on. Then we have Cosmoctopus. Sorry about the dinging loud noise. There we have Cosmoctopus, which is sad. This is when I played this at Gamma 2023, and I was really excited about it back then. And then I played it more, and my excitement did go down a bit. If you watch my review of this, I started off here, and then it coasted down to a nice medium level. I think this is a great game from Lucky Ducks, not from Lucky Duck, distributor Lucky Duck, but from Paperback Games, designed by Henry Audubon, who's fantastic. I think Cosmoctopus is very, very, very solid. Also, very, very solid isn't good enough anymore. To me, this is a game that the more I play it, the more it falls into the similar patterns and rotes. It is a fun little card manipulation game, but I think there are other fun little card manipulation games I prefer more. But again, just hard choices. Things have to be going away, and Cosmoctopus is one of the games that, unfortunately, at least today, is going away. Next up, we have... these are harder and harder to reach. We have Dice Miner over here. Dice Miner. This one, honestly, I don't even love it all that much. I enjoy Dice Miner. I think it's fun, but I only really like playing it with 2 players because you get fewer dice at 3 players and fewer dice at 4 players. 2 players is where it's at for me because then you get the most dice out of it. I'm always happy to play it. I don't need to hold on to it though. I don't need it to be in my collection, but I am always happy to play Dice Miner. Next up, we have another one that again I thought would last longer, but I've played it more since then, and that is going to be Tesseract. Tesseract from Smirk and Dagger. Great game, but see what I said before, that I find when it comes to survival cooperative games, I'm mostly playing the Loop these days. The Loop is my go-to game in this genre. As much as Tesseract is a fun experience, I have a few nitpicks and complaints about it that hold it back from being the game I pull off the shelf when I'm trying to think, hey, what cooperative game in my collection do I want to pull out and play today? That's going to be the Loop. Just to be clear, by the way, I don't only play the Loop. I do have other games I play, but when I think of one of the better ones in this genre, the Loop is going to hit that kind of feeling that I get from Tesseract, the feeling I get from the Reckoners. Those are kind of survival things where bad things happen, good things happen, and you're trying to stay ahead of the curve. And in that genre, I mean, the Loop is the main thing that comes to mind. There's others, I'm sure, but the Loop is definitely the main thing that comes to mind. Next up, we have Tiny Turbo Cars Collector's Edition over here. I am holding on. I think I'm still... Am I holding on? I think I might still be holding on to the non-collector's edition. I have to double check my kid shelf over there. But the Tiny Turbo Cars is a great game. It's a fun game. It gives you that racing element. It gives you that chaos, the fun freneticness of using a little controller and trying to program moves and zipping ahead. And it gives you lots of asymmetric powers with the cars. And it's basically just a racing game where you blow things up and try not to skid the wrong direction as you wander across the board. I think it's a lot of fun. And again, I don't pull it out and play it as much as I would like to. When I'm looking at all the games that I love versus the games that I love and I'm playing, this one is just in the former category, which is not really good enough. And then we bring us to the last one over here. The last one is kind of an oddball one. This is Shadows over Camelot. I really just got this back to try because I played Dead of Winter and I was like, I want to play Shadows over Camelot again. That was the intent, that was the purpose, and that's all I needed from this one. I don't need to actually hold on to keep this one. I did not expect to keep it. It's a hard to get out of print game, to be fair, but I did not expect to keep this one. I expected it to be, play it again and move on from it. One of the first games I had in my collection way back before it was out of print, and it was a good experience for a good time, and one that I just don't think I needed. So I think it thrives at higher player counts where you could have the trader element, and I don't really play this at those player counts because I'm probably playing the Loop. That was a joke. This actually doesn't feel like the Loop at all. Totally different experience. I don't think it's the same kind of category. But that's what we have over here. We have 22, I think if I count it right, games that are leaving the collection. And to be clear, I plan on going through more and more shelves with more forcefulness. This is just me going through a bunch of my shelves with some degree of forcefulness. I plan on going through more and more of my shelves and just making hard decisions around what I love versus what I love and is getting played. There are always some things that make the cut, meaning stay alive, I should say. There are always some things that stay alive that do not get called when they probably should be, but I'm trying to be more and more aggressive just because of the practical reality. Again, I played hundreds of games last year. Many of them were new to me games, but from the 600 or so unique games I played last year, around 390 of them were new to me, and the other 200 or so were games that were already in my collection. But that means there's 100 plus games in my collection that I did not play last year, and I don't think a game has to be played every single year for it to stay, but there has to be a question that you ask yourself: why didn't I play it last year? And will that change in future years, or am I just continuing to hold on to the thing because I keep telling myself one day I'll actually play it, even though I know it's not going to get pulled off the shelf and picked in comparison with both the other games that are already there and the new stuff that's constantly coming through. So ultimately, I don't know what to tell you. There's too many good games. There's too many good games, and every single time I find something new that goes on my shelf, there's going to be a question and a conversation about the fact that, why are you lasting and the other ones didn't? Why are you making it onto the shelf and other games that I haven't played in a year are or aren't going to be? You just have to... I like games. I do. I feel like a kid in a candy shop. Like, I just unlimited free candy. But you can't. It doesn't matter how much candy you have. It doesn't matter the access. It's just... There's not enough time. There's not enough time. And so... These are good games. These are very, 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 very good games. Most of them, at least. Some of them I'm fine moving on from, but most of these are very good games. It's not going to get easier next month, but it's going to happen again. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.